Welcome back to Nostalgianomics. Today we are going to take a deep dive look at Destined Rivals. Really break down everything from the sealed product to the singles to the graded cards. Look at the pull rates, look at the population reports, get an idea if there are any plays left in this set, or if you just kind of step back and let it do what it does and say, hey, I missed out for now, maybe I'll get another shot in the future. But I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down and see where we go. So here is the set overall. This is all of the top hits in Destined Rivals. As you probably thought, Mewtwo is obviously still holding up as the top card. I know a lot of people subjectively think the Cynthia's Garchomp is a better art, and even though if that may be true, very unlikely a Garchomp is ever going to dethrone a Mewtwo, right? It's just the way it is. Mewtwo is one of the most popular Pokemon in the hobby. Throw Giovanni on it. Even if it's not most people's favorite Mewtwo, it's likely always going to be the number one spot. The Ho-Oh and the Moltres are still fighting for that next place. Looks like the Ho-Oh right now is very handily handling the Moltres, but unclear what that's going to be like in the future. Nidoking is one of my favorite Pokemon, but never one of the most popular, and so it makes sense why it's down there. And then obviously the Crobat's last. The Misty Psyduck has climbed its way up the ranks. It is still lower than this Gold Mewtwo. Honestly, in my opinion, I think these two will probably trade spots at some point. And honestly, like the way this hobby goes, I wouldn't be surprised if the illustration actually maybe even gets higher than the Team Rocket's Crobat. Maybe eventually is higher than Nidoking. Who knows how things kind of transpire in the future, but that's kind of where things are at now. And for some reason, the Misty's Lapras doesn't get as anywhere near the same love as the Psyduck does. Maybe it's because the Misty is, not up close and personal and you can't really see it. Maybe Lapras is, less of a Misty Pokemon than Psyduck is, whatever it may be. But this is where we're at right now. So let's kind of jump into it. This is not the price, obviously. This is just the lowest direct seller. But I did want to use it as the thumbnail to really, that shock value. But it is up quite a bit. The Mewtwo right now has only, I would say, 4 real listings left, 4 cards left under $500, which is pretty crazy. When you look at the sales, they are all over the place, anywhere from the low 400s all the way to the high 400s and everywhere in between. And so it does look like at this rate, it will likely be a $500 card. We are looking at the graded PSA 10s. All of the auctions look to be ending up in the upper thousands. It looks like the lowest listings now, especially in the US, are about $1,750, which is absolutely astronomical for a brand new card. And so that's the Team Rocket Mewtwo if you want it. My thoughts on it, we'll get to those later. Let's go through some of these. Cynthia's Garchomp, there it is. It is a $250 card. The graded copy, there are very few available on the market. Very few left available. And it looks like they're running up. The lowest list now is $720. The auctions are ending higher and higher. Probably going to be a mid-$600 to low $700 card. That's where we're at. We have the Misty Psyduck. It is only a $50 card near mint right now. $50 to $55. And then, never mind. Sorry. It's only one seller. Then it does jump up into the 60s. So we're going to say it's a mid-$60s card. That's my bad. Only one listing left from a very low feedback seller at 55. So it is in the 60s. In a PSA 10, it's already up. You can see the auctions ending. It's already up to over a $300 card. Now, when comparing that to the Starmie V, which I think is a pretty good comparison back from Astral Radiance, the Starmie V is up to, in the low hundreds, and the PSA 10 copy is in the low 400s. But remember, that took years to get to that price point. Okay, it was never that high before. In fact, the PSA 10 was literally a $300 card not too long ago. It's pretty wild to see the Misty Psyduck already that expensive when the Misty Psyduck is actually easier to hit than the Starmie V. So, I don't know, something to think about. The Destined Rivals booster boxes in general, it does look like there are some sellers here. 0% feedback, they have some sales. 0% feedback has one sale. 98% feedback has 400 sales, but anyone under 400 at this point is usually a brand new seller, a very low feedback seller. Anyone over with any type of established store looks to be listing these things in the 400s, if not like 420, 430 range. We look on eBay, it's about the same. Auctions ending in the 400s. There is one seller here at 400 plus 14 shipping, but then it does jump up into the 420 plus 10 shipping, 430s. And so I have these sorted by US, unless you're buying somewhere from like UK or Australia, it does seem like every seller now has these boxes in the 420s, 430s, and that is consistent again with TCG Player. So that's where the boxes are. The cases now being listed closer and closer to $3,000. There's one seller left with one case at $28.39 plus 20 shipping. Then it's $29.95 and then $3,000. Here are some of the recent sales. They are selling at that 29 plus price point. eBay does have them a little bit lower right now, $27.84 from one seller, but then again, they're $3,000 as well. A lot of them are at auction. Maybe you can pick some up cheaper at auction. But yeah, Destined Rivals is every bit of basically a $3,000 case at this point. When we look at this is what really scares me. So I'm having a hard time sourcing packs for my streams, and here's one of the reasons. Look at this. The booster bundles are actually basically $50, $51, right? So just over $8 a pack. The packs themselves are $8.60. The loose packs themselves are more than what the booster bundles are going for. Meaning you can get a sealed 6 packs for less than what you can buy 6 raw packs for. And honestly, guys, compared to what's out there, there's really not a lot of packs left. I know these look like giant listings, 190 packs, 58 packs, 45 packs. I mean, you're talking about a night of streams. And so there really isn't many packs left until these run up to $9 a pack, which is it's getting a little scary. The bundles, it looks like they're still quite a bit around the low to mid 50s, but again, quite a bit is relative term because those will get ran up pretty quickly too until they are probably $60 a bundle at the rate at which these packs are selling and how hard they are to get, guys. This is one of the hardest sets to source right now in terms of streams. And so that really scares me, especially with how high the boxes already are and how high the loose packs already are. I would not be surprised to see these loose packs in the $9 to $10 range very soon. It just is what it is. It's scary, but it is what it is. When we look at the pull rates, all right, I want to look at this. The pull rates of the SIRs are 1 in 94 packs, okay? One of the hardest in the era. The specific SIR is 1 in 1,033. It's even harder to hit than the Greninja or the Pikachu in Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks. And so from that perspective, again, I'm not talking in an overall market perspective of saying all this stuff's overvalued, all that stuff. In today's perspective, looking at what the Greninja's worth, the Pikachu's worth, it makes sense that the Mewtwo is worth what it is, right? It makes sense the Mewtwo PSA 10 is selling for $1,700 when the Pikachu and the Greninja are both what? $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, whatever they're going for now. It makes sense in a relative term. Now, in the sense of this is a brand new set, it doesn't make sense. All right, so I want to be clear. I'm not saying like this is a properly valued card for the age of the set for any normalcy. For the crazy market we're in, it makes sense compared to other cards that have similar hit rates, right? So that's that. When we look at the Pop Report, the Team Rocket's Mewtwo right here has 3,212 copies graded in a 10 out of 6,140 total graded. And so it is just over a 50% gem rate. So you could say it's a relatively easy card to grade. It's not super easy, but it's relatively easy. Anything over 50% is not that hard. The Misty's Psyduck, though, being an illustration rare, right? Everyone wants to look at the illustration rares because they usually have harder hit rates. It's a 2,527 10 over 6,036 graded. So quite a bit under 50%. It's definitely a harder card to grade being an illustration rare, but it's nowhere near what we saw in like SV Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, things like that. So the print quality obviously has gotten better, but it is still quite a difficult card to grade. So that's something to look at. So overall, guys, Destined Rivals, look, the set's extremely strong. Mewtwo, Garchomp, the Ho-Oh, Moltres, Misty, Psyduck. The set is extremely strong. I mean, I would have to say it is the strongest mainline set, right? Not specialty set-wise, because obviously Prismatic, Paldea, and Fates 151 are all great. It is the best set, in my opinion, in terms of booster boxes. And so it makes sense. A lot of these are high value, especially with how scarce they are. The scarcity makes sense at how much it is opened. And the box price, right? The Destined Rivals box price. This is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, make them think I'm crazy. It makes sense for the current market. It doesn't make sense for any normalized market for being this new and this expensive. But Surging Sparks is now a $300 box. Twilight Masquerade is $320, $330. Obsidian Flames is $320, $330. Right? In perspective of those being what they are, Paldea Evolved costing $500, this makes sense. Okay? Now, will it come down? In my opinion, yes. I don't think it's ever going to be MSRP like some of the crazy people think. But will it be cheaper in the future? If I am willing to bet, will Destined Rivals booster boxes ever in the next, 2-3 years at some point be cheaper than $400 a box? I think so. Will I be wrong? Possibly. Pokemon seems to not print booster boxes anymore, at least in large quantities. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to miss out hardcore. But if I'm a betting man, I still feel like there's a better chance of it being less than $400 than never being less than $400 again. Now, what that looks like, maybe $350, maybe it gets in the twos. I don't know, but it's still up in air. No one knows at this point. But I am not buying more personally at $400 a box. Could I miss out? Of course. But here's the thing, guys. Like I always say, you have to be willing to miss out if you're not willing to take on the risk. And so for me, I'm willing to miss out. What am I buying then with that money? You guys know I had to throw it in at the end. Prismatic Evolutions, the best investment you can make right now at the current price points. I'm not buying PC TVs right now, but I just wanted to show everybody they are massively up when everyone said Prismatic was going to crash. Prismatic SPCs are massively up when everyone said Prismatic is going to crash. Prismatic ETBs are massively up. These are what some of the things I am still buying is ETBs. But yes, they are already back up. They are already back up in the 120s, running to 125, probably 130 here soon. You can see there's not many left in the 120, 125 range until it does get closer to that 130 mark. And so everyone's saying MSRP on Prismatic ETBs. Wrong again. We got Prismatic booster bundles back to $60 when everyone was posting all this stuff about hundreds of thousands of them being released on Walmart.com or Target or Best Buy or Costco and Walmart. Costco, Sam's Club. Guess what? They're back to $60. Wrong again. And everyone thinking the Moonbreon or the Sunbreon was going to crash even further. Guys, what were you waiting for? It already crashed, right? It already crashed from 1,600 down to 800. That was a 50% correction. And people kept saying, it's going to go more. No, I said I didn't know if it was the bottom, but I felt like we're getting near the bottom. When I made those videos, hey, that was the bottom. That seems to be like it was the bottom. And so this seems to be like a little bounce off. Probably going to trade around this range for some time. But yeah, Umbreon, back over $1,000, right? And yes, there are confirmed sales. $1,000, $1,072. It's back over $1,000. Look at this, the PSA 10. Auctions happening, all in the high threes. Lowest listings are at 4,300. We can go look at the recent sales. Recent sales, 4,350, 4,320 at auction. That is where the Umbreon is. It is official, guys. The Prismatic Evolutions crash is officially canceled. The MSRP gang is in shambles. The I'm gonna wait crowd is still waiting. And if you're wondering, yes, I am still buying Prismatic Evolutions, ETBs, bundles, anything I can get at a reasonable price. But maybe I'm a complete idiot not buying more Destined Rivals at $400 a box. Time will tell. I'm not selling. I'm definitely not selling Destined Rivals. But I don't know. It just seems like eventually Pokemon's going to do something, some kind of attack on Destined Rivals availability like they just did on Prismatic Evolutions. And again, I don't think it's going to crash. I think the days of MSRP or $200 boxes are long gone. But who knows? Maybe we'll get a chance to pick it up at $350 again. Maybe $300, maybe $325. Who knows? Who knows? Time will tell. But that's my take on everything, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Be back in a new one soon. I'm out.